Hi, this is Shu from JoloPix. In this tutorial, I'm going to demonstrate how to use Nextpeer to add a multiplayer game mode to the single-player game Pogmatch. So Pogmatch is a simple memory game. The player clicks on the cards to review them, and then they try to find matching pairs. In each game session, there's a limited amount of time, shown here. The goal is to find as many matching pairs as you can within the time limit. And if you manage to match two pairs one after another, then the game rewards you with a higher score multiplier. So that should give you a pretty good idea of what this game is about. So to get started, we need to go to the Nextpeer developer site. On the left here, this allows you to register your game with Nextpeer. So in our case, I've already registered OpenPogmatch. When you register the game, it's going to show you this page where you need to input information about your game. So let's look at each of the fields here. This is the game's name. The iTunes link you can leave empty right now because OpenPogmatch is not on the App Store. This is the bundle identifier. So this value here has to match the value that you enter in your Xcode project. So let's make sure that they match com.jolopix.openpogmatch. And then the last thing you want to take note of is the game key. This is the key that needs to be passed in to the Nextpeer SDK when we initialize it in the game. So we'll come back to this later. Now go to the Download tab to download the latest SDK. So this is what you just downloaded. There's the framework file, and then this is the bundle file. So in our case, we have a portrait app, so we're going to use the portrait bundle. Now let's go to Xcode and drag these two files into the project. Remember to check the checkbox for copying the item into the groups folder, and then go back and copy the resource bundle into the resource folder. And also make sure the checkbox is checked. After this, we need to add all the frameworks that Nextpeer has the dependency on into the project. The developer's documentation lists all these frameworks. You can find it from this tab, Tutorial, and then click on Adding Nextpeer. Underneath it, there's a list of all these frameworks. So let's drag them into the project. To add new frameworks into the project, you need to go to Targets and then click on Build Phrases. Underneath Linked Binary with Libraries, this is where you can add the frameworks. So let's add the security framework, libz, libsql, mobile core services, system configuration, CF network, message UI, and the last four frameworks are already in the project. Then we need to add two linker flags for the Nextpeer framework. So go to Build Settings. In here, search for Linkler. Under Other Linker Flags, add these two flags, objc and all_load. Alright, now we can write some code. The first thing we need to do is to implement two required methods in the Nextpeer delegate. Now I'm going to use Game Manager as our designated Nextpeer delegate, since in Pogmatch, Game Manager handles all the game rules and game logic. So first, include the Nextpeer delegate.h file. And then adopt the delegate. Now we need to add those two functions from the Nextpeer delegate into the game manager file, implementation file. And in here, I'm just going to put some placeholder code, and we'll come back later to fill this in. Now I'm going to go to the app delegate to initialize Nextpeer. First, let's import the Nextpeer header file. Typically, you want to do it at the end of did finish launching with options. In Pogmatch, there's a function called app_init that gets called here that does all the game-specific initialization. So I'm going to add it into here. Now there are three options here, three initialized functions. I'm going to pick this one to start with that has two parameters. The first parameter is the product key that we obtained when we registered the game earlier at the Nextpeer site. This is the product key, so let's copy it and then paste it here. Then we need to register the Nextpeer delegate to the initialize function. So this is done through a delegates container object. So let's create one here. And use one of the creation function. So since we designated game manager as our delegate, so let's pass an instance of it to the container and then pass it into the initialization function. And then for completion, let's shut down Nextpeer when the app shuts down. This is it, built. After you've built successfully, you can run the game to make sure that Nextpeer initializes correctly. Go to the debugger console, and if you see this line printing out the Nextpeer version number, then you know you've done the integration correctly and the game managed to start up Nextpeer. Now you're good. Now you can go ahead and implement the multiplayer mode.